Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Liu. It's my great pleasure to share with you about the 21 tax update and minimize taxes in retirement. Happy New Year! 大家好，很高兴能够在这里跟大家一起 share 今天这个题目。那在这里跟大家拜个晚年，祝大家新年快乐，主恩满意，年年有余，岁岁平安。Okay. Before we start, let me share with you two verses. 第一段是讲到经文提到在新约里法利赛人在问耶稣关于报税的问题。那耶稣在路加福音Luke 20:25 Jesus replied 该撒的物当归给该撒所以我们晓得说我们应该要根据这个原则要诚实报税，把该归政府的税都缴给政府，这样子，这样可以省得日后很多的麻烦，还有可能被 assess 的 penalty。那另外一段经文是在箴言第15章22节，他提到说谋事众多，所谋乃成。那主要是提到说，因为大家都晓得美国的税法是非常的繁杂琐细，那有的时候你可能没有办法了解很多事情，所以当你在有一些比较复杂的 financial situation 之下，你可能就需要找一些 professional help 这样子。OK， 那接下来我们就来看今天我们要讲的内容，主要大概是分4个大段，然后最后一份 Q&A。Yeah, I can tell you about 4 major parts. The first one is the 2021 Form 1040 key figures. The second part is what's new for 2021 1040. The next one is major items of income sources for retirees. And the last one is the selected tax planning topics. 最后的话会留the last one is the Q&A. And in between, if I because I'm gonna probably share in Chinese, so maybe some parts I'll start for some Q&A, so for easier for everybody to understand. Okay. 那我们接下来就看今天第一部分。第一部分是讲到2021 Form 1040 Key Figures。那我们主要讲到说，介绍一下2021年的税率。在 Ordinary Income Tax Rate 的话 ，we have 7 brackets. We have like 10% up to 37%. The next one is long-term capital and qualified dividend tax rates, which is preferential, which is a lower rates compared with the ordinary income tax rates. So we have the rate for 0%, 15%, and 20%. And the next one will be the net investment income surtax. That is 3.8% for the higher income individuals. They have to pay another 3.8% net investment income tax. So net investment income, including like dividend, interest, capital gains, rental income, royalties, and other income from passive activities. This is on top of the ordinary income tax or long-term capital gain tax. The next part will be just briefly introduce to you the standard deduction versus itemized deduction. So for 2021, the standard deduction amount is $12,550. For verified joint return will be $25,100, which is double the amount of single. And there are 3 major itemized deduction, which is state and local tax deduction, mortgage interest deduction, and charitable contribution. So standard deduction, sorry, the state and local tax deduction is the cap is only 10,000。所以说，如果说你负债有 property tax， 可能缴了一些 property tax， 还有 sales tax， 你最多能 deduct 就1万块。下一项就是next one is the mortgage interest deduction. So after 2017, only the mortgage balance up to 700,000, that interest portion will be deductible. The next one is the charitable contribution. So it's your either cash or non-cash donation charity. So usually if these are the three major itemized deduction, which is the state and local tax, mortgage interest, and charitable deduction. So if you add these three together, come up with the total numbers. So if it's more than the standard deduction, you use a higher amount. But if it's less, you still will be able to deduct the $25,100 for the couples for the standard deduction. Okay. The last one is about the for the retirement plan contribution. So for the 401k or 403b, for 2021, the maximum salary deferral will be $19,500. And if you are age 50 and older, there's another $6,500. So the total will be $26,000 for the 401k deferral. For the traditional IRA or Roth IRA, your maximum contribution for 2021 will be $6,000. But if you are age 50 and older, it's going to be another additional $1,000 you can deduct. So the total will be $7,000. Okay, so that's the major number for the 2021. Do we have any questions? Okay. Next, I'll be introducing about the income tax rates. So as I mentioned, we have 7 tax bracket from 10% to 37%. The main reason I'm introduce this is because of for all these tax planning, you're gonna need to know what's your income level and what's your applicable tax bracket. So tax bracket means it's like the marginal tax rate, which is your highest income rate. So for example, if like a single, the 12%, if your income is lower than 40,525, your tax bracket will be 12%. And above that will be 22%, something like that. So this is the roughly introduce this tax rate schedule. So you'll be able to tell what's your income level and what's your tax bracket. And then next, it shows the historical marginal tax rate, which is the highest rate for each individual. So if we look back at the 1945, right before the World War II, so at that time, the marginal rate has 94%. And then over the year, 81 will drop to, it's all the maximum rate above 70%. And dropped to 50% for this years. And after a major tax reform act of 1986, we have the rate reduced to 30-some%. So right now the tax rates with 2021 is the maximum rate is 37%. And plus this 3.8% is the net investment income tax, surtax I just mentioned about. 所以目前我们的税率是在最高是37%，然后加上我刚刚提到的就是有3.8% 的 net investment income tax， 所以算起来应该是40.8% 是最高税率。So next, so just from the observation, so we can tell. So right now we currently have a favorable lower tax rates for most people right now. Okay, that's because back in December 2017, we have a new tax act, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, passed in December 2017. So all these rates were reduced. If you look at this table, so like the maximum rate for 2017 is 39.6%, and we dropped to 37%. And each corresponding rate, we saw a lot of decrease, like the 15% drop to 12%, and so on and so forth. So, but there's a sunset provision for that tax law back in 2017. So because of the federal budget purpose, so this low rate is only effective for 8 years, which is from 2018 to 2025。所以在2017年通过的那个税改，那我们这个第一的税率只有在2018年到2025年才有效。换句话说，就是说once after December 31st, 2015, starting 2026, the tax rate will revert back to the 2017 tax rates. 所以我们在2026年的话，这个税率又是会重新回到2017年的税率，所以我们在这几年我们税率最高是37%，可是到了2026年的话，我们的税率又会重新回到39.6%，其他的税率也跟着一起提高，回到当年2017年的税率。There's another uncertainties because right now, the new government, the Biden administration, they have some new tax law. Right now, there is a Build Better Future Act, 就是重建美好未来的一个税法。There is a tax rate increase proposal, but it's not tax law yet. So we still closely watch for this new tax legislature. So it may be it will pass this year or later, but we're not sure. So right now, what we can be sure is right now we are in a relatively lower tax bracket. 所以我们在这边也提到说，现在新的 Biden administration 它有提一些新的重建未来法案，就是它可能会提高一些税率。那这一部分的话，目前都还没有通过，所以还不是税法。不过我们可以确定的就是说，在这几年，从2021年到2025年这段的税率，可能相对来说的话是比较低的税率。所以说，大家在做 planning 的时候，可以考虑一下，尤其是 if somebody is thinking about conversion their Roth IRA during this time period from 2021 through 2025, maybe it's a good time to consider for the Roth conversion. 所以对于想要做 Roth conversion 来讲，从这段时间到2025年，可能是一个很好的机会，大家可能可以做一些 tax planning。然后，因为在整个看来的话，这一段我们这几年的时间，它的税率会是比较低的情况。The next one is the long-term capital gains and qualified dividend rates. This is a preferential rates. We have 3 different rates, 0%, 15%, 20%. Depends on your filing status and what's your income level. You have either your long-term capital gain and qualified dividends either pay 15% or 20% or 0%。所以说，另外我们自己再介绍就是long-term capital gain 还有 qualified dividend， 它有一个比较好的税率，就是根据你个人的收入还有你的 filing status， 它有刻在 0%、15%还有20% 这样子。然后大部分人提到的话都是 15%， 一般来讲就是缴 15%。那可是如果你是income 比较低的话，你甚至完全不用付 你的 capital gain 或是你的 qualified dividend tax 这样子。Okay, so far, do you have any questions? 好，那我们就继续下去哈。那主要就是讲到2021年主要的 figure。那接下来我们就讲说，今年我们在报税的时候 ，What's new for 2021 1040？第一点我们就跟大家提醒一下，就是说This year our tax deadline is April 18th. The reason is because April 15th, which is a Friday, is a holiday for Washington, D.C., what they call the Emancipation Day. So usually if the tax deadline day falling on the weekend or holiday, so the deadline will be the next Monday. So this year for 2021 1040, our due date will be April 18th, 2022. 那就是今年我们的税的 deadline 是4月18号。Okay. So next one, we'll talk a few items about, first will be the recovery rebate credit, or what we call the third economic impact payment. So this part I'll be speaking Chinese. Okay. Sorry. 所以我们这一个的话是讲到在一年的税表上，我们有一个recovery rebate credit。其实这个在2020年的时候我们也有报这样，然后这一个话是第三人的纾困金，基本上是每个人1400块，所以夫妻合并申报的话就是2800。那然后如果你有dependent 的话，你还可以加1400块。那这个最重要的因素就是你是不是能拿到这个 rebate 或是纾困金，主要是看你必须要有效的社会安全号码。所以如果说你的小孩如果说只有 ITIN 的话，那是他不能够合格拿到这个纾困金。OK， 那另外一点就是关于他的 income level， 他就是如果收入太高的话，像以这个结婚的来讲，夫妻合并申报的话，如果你的收入在15万以上，然后他的收到的rebate 就会减低。那如果说你的 income 以夫妻合并申报来讲，如果超过16万的话，16万块的话，你的1毛钱都拿不到这样子。那这边很重要，就是跟大家跟大家提醒一下，就是说因为这个第三轮纾困金的话，主要是根据你在2020年的税表上的数字。那可能很多人2020年的 income 跟2021年的 income 可能不太一样，所以有可能是说，也许你2020年收入太高，可是2021年降低了就合格了，所以说你在去年没有拿到的时候，你在今年报税的时候，你就可以在你的2021年的税表上，你可以把这个纾困金拿回来这样子。那另外还有一点，就是说你会在今年1月份 IRS 会寄给你一个 letter， 就是 letter 6475，然后这是一个很重要的 letter， 它会在 letter 里面会告诉你说你去年领到了多少的纾困金，那你要把这个纾困金到时候这个金额你要打在你在算税的时候你要把它记录起来，这样然后来跟你2021年实际上可能拿到的钱来比较，看你是不是可以因为2020年你没有拿到，所以你在2021年报税的时候你就可以拿到这个 recovery rebate credit 这样子。Okay, let me just summarize briefly in English. So there's a recovery rebate credit. So we have each person will be $1,400 and $2,800 for married couple. And if you have a qualifying dependent, you'll get another $1,400 for each. So the requirement for this recovery rebate credit there are two factors. The first one is you have to have a valid Social Security number. The next one is about your income level. So for the married couple, for example, if your income is above 150,000 and you have a limited rebate amount, but if your income for the married couple is more than 160,000, you'll get nothing from this recovery rebate credit. And there is an important letter the IRS will send, is a letter 6475 that will have the amount of the economic impact payment which you receive in 2021. You have to keep this with your tax record, and then whenever you file your return, you have to input this amount and compare with the actual recovery rebate amount. So, any questions? Next one. Yes.
收入15万是毛收入呢，还是就是怎样算的那个收入？
它是adjusted gross income， 就是基本上就是你的所有的 income 扣掉一些 adjustment item，for example，像是 IRA deduction 这样子，然后得到一个叫 AGI， 就是 adjusted gross income， 所以是用那个来看。那通常就是 adjusted gross income 再减掉你的 either standard deduction or itemized deduction 才是你的 taxable income。那 in this case 我们是用 AGI 来看，这样清楚吗？So I repeat the question. So the question is the income for the phase out is what's the income? So it is the adjusted gross income, which is your total income subtract some of your adjustment adjustment, for example, like IRA distribution, and come to as the AGI, which is the adjusted gross income. So that means that if your adjusted gross income for married couple is more than 150,000, you will have a reduced recovery rebate credit. Okay, and one last thing is about this is if you already received the third economic impact payment last year, so even though, for example, last year you have a limited income, but this year your income is more than this amount, phase out amount, like say is $160. But if you already received the payment, you don't have to return to the IRS, you just keep them. So only thing is that if you did not receive enough economic impact payment, you will be able to claim it when you file your 2021 tax return. 所以就是说这个 pay 就是去年的纾困金，你如果已经拿到的话，所以就算你今年2021年你在报税的时候你的 income 太高，应该是不能拿，可是 IRS 不会跟你把这个已经发给你的钱要回来。Okay, any questions? 好，下一个我们就提到就是so next one is a child tax credit， 提到就是 child tax credit， 然后主要就是从去年它的金额是从2000块一个小孩提高到3000或是3600块看那个小孩在12月31号2022年他的年龄是多少。如果是在5岁和5岁以下的话，每个小孩可以拿到3600块的 credit， 如果是6到17岁的话就可以拿到3000块，那如果18岁跟以上就没有办法拿到这个 credit 这样子。那第二点就是讲到说这个 credit 的话是 refundable fully refundable， 它的意思就是说即使你没有任何 income， 你去报你2021年的税，可是因为你有这样的 dependent， 你还是可以拿到 3600块或者3000块这个 credit 回来，这就表示那这边再跟大家解释一下，就是这边还有另外一个很 important 的一个 IRS 的信，就是6419，也是 IRS 也是在就是在今年1月份的时候已经把它寄出来了。然后这个也是一个很重要的一个 record， 因为它这个 record 上面会讲到说，你收到了多少 child tax credit， 还有有几个 qualifying dependent 这样。那这个主要的原因是因为在这个税法就是在去年3月通过的，就是提高这个 child tax credit 它的金额从2000块提高，然后它从去年3月通过以后，然后它是 payment 它事先已经有 advance child tax credit， 就是在去年7月份到去年12月份都已经按月把它寄出来了。所以如果说是比如说小孩是5岁以下的话，他每个月就已经寄了300块，所以说你到年底的话，你已经收到1800块。所以说你在报2021年税的时候，你的 credit 应该是3600，可是你拿到1800，所以你在2021年报税的时候，你还会拿到1800的 credit 回来。那当然是因为另外一个1800你应该已经是拿到了。所以 IRS 可能会那个时候在去年下半年每个月用either是寄支票或是 direct deposit 的话，他应该都已经把它付给你这样。那最后就是提到说是child tax credit 的话，如果说的 income 太高的话，它也是你的 tax credit 也会被减低。Okay. Let me summarize in English. So the second one is the child tax credit payments. So the new tax law passed in March last year increased the amount from the child tax credit amount from $2,000 per child to either $3,000 for child age 6 through 17, or $3,600 for age 5 and under. So the amount is increased substantially. The next point is the child tax credit is fully refundable. That means that if you don't have to file tax return, but if you owe no tax, but you still get the tax refund for this $3,000 or $3,600 for the child tax credit. And the next point is because there is an advanced monthly payment starting July last year. So if you have a qualifying child, you should have, for example, your child is 10 years old, so you'll receive $250 each month for a total, which is monthly payment. So you receive 6 months of payment, which is from July through December last year. So you should have already received $1,500 in advanced child tax credit. So when you file the tax return for 2021, so you're gonna reconcile the difference. So you'll be entitled to $3,000 for this child who is age 10. So, but since you already received $1,500, so on the tax return, you can only claim the credit for $1,500 on your 2021 tax return. And so you have to keep that letter for your tax record. So the final point is the child tax credit will be reduced for the taxpayer with higher income. Any questions?
What is the phase out for the child's credit with higher tax income? What is the phase out?
That's a very complicated question. So let me I can give you a brief example. Let me see. Okay, actually there are There are two phases of phase out. Just give you the so the first phase out range will reduce your child tax credit to $2,000, which is the same amount for 2020. So that phase out range will be for the married file joint return will be $150,000. So your income level is more than 100 for married couple, for example. Your income level is more than $150,000. You'll be faced. You have a reduced amount for the credit, and then we will reduce back to $2,000. And if your income is more than $400,000, there's another phase out and reduce the tax credit amount to zero if you have much higher income after $400,000. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah. 所以简单提一下，就是有人问到说，你的 tax credit 会 reduce 的话，那什么样的情况你的什么样的 income 会你的 tax credit 会被 reduce？ 那以结婚的来讲，就是你如果说你的 income 超过15万的话，你就会递减。那它最低会递减到2000块钱，你还是可以拿到2000块的 tax credit， 就是跟去年2020年的金额一样。那可是还有第二层的 phase out， 就是说万一你的 income 太高的话，超过40万的话，它还要继续减，然后有可能减到0这样子。所以基本上来讲，就是说，如果你的收入在15万到40万的话，你大概可以差不多还是可以拿到，至少可以拿到2000块这样子。然后超过40万，如果太高的话，你就完全拿不到。OK。
James， 问一下，这2封信的话，那没有收到，能够什么地方这能找见吗？
没有，他是有说，就是说你 IRS 可以说，你可以去申请一个 web account， 就是你个人的 income tax account， 在那个 IRS.gov， 然后上面可以查到一些有关于的一些信息，包括这两封信，6475跟6419这样子，就是说你要 apply for IRS account 这样子。照理说应该现在来应该都已经收到了，除非是说你都没有领到任何的either是纾困金或是 child tax credit， 这样可以吗？ Yeah, let me repeat the question. So what if you did not receive the letter 6475 for the child tax credit? No, for the third economic payment or the child tax credit letter 6419. What should I do? So you can apply for the IRS account from the IRS.gov, and then after that. You have to make an application, and you're gonna have a web account with the IRS, and then they will tell you what's the amount for the economic impact payment or the child tax credit. So, but you should have already received these 2 letters if you receive any payments. Okay. So next one is I'll just briefly introduce you. Is for 2021 for the child and dependent care tax credit. Yeah, the qualified expenses substantially increase. So if we look at the 2020, so for one qualifying child is $3,000. For 2021. The qualifying expense will be $8,000, and the credit rate is also went from 35% to 50%. But of course, there's Yeah, amount of income, the credit will be reduced if you have a higher income, just same as the child tax credit. 所以在这边的话，另外提到一点就是，在2022年的 dependent care credit 的话，它的金额从3000块一个小孩提高到8000块，然后它的 credit 的 rate 也从35% 提高到50%。那同样的也是，如果 income 太高的话，你的 credit 也会减少。Okay. So the next one will be the major items of income source for the retirees. Sorry, there's a mix-up. So this is still new for the 2021 1040. So if you claim the standard deduction, so you have additional charitable deduction up to the maximum for the joint return will be $600. But if you for the single or head of household will be the maximum amount you can deduct is $300. So this is on top of your standard deduction. But if you already use the itemized deduction, of course you will not have this benefit for the deduction. 所以最后一点，关于讲到2021年的 tax update 的话，就针对于使用标准扣除额，我们刚刚讲到就是夫妻合并申报的话，就是用25000块100块的那个金额。那如果说你还有其他的 donation 的话，所以你还可以，如果你还有加上600块的，加上你的 standard deduction， 所以就一共有25700块的 deduction 这样子。那如果是 single 的话，你就只能加300块。那很重要一点就是说，你必须要有你的 donation 如果超过250块的话，你都要有就是 paperwork 来 support 你的 deduction 这样。Yeah, so if you have a donation of more than $250, you should have a support for this deduction. All right, so next we go to the major item of the income. So we have
James,
yes.
We have a question. So if for a single that he works part-time and then went back to college, pay tuition, so how would his tax look like?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
So if a person worked part-time and then go back to college last year.
Yeah, so what's the question?
So how would his tax look like? Can he still claim the standard deductions?
Holly, that was me. That was my question.
Okay.
This is Helen.
Can we answer that question at the back?
Yes, we save it in the end. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, sorry about
Thank you,
that.
Holly. Thank you, James.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I'll clarify. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so next, the next part will be the major income for retirees. So most retired people will have these income like interest, tax-free, tax-exempt interest, dividends, capital gains, rental income, IRA or 401k or 403b distribution income, and social security benefits, and other income, for example, like part-time wages or other income. So we only gonna cover these three parts, which the first one will be capital gains. The second part will be social security benefits. The last one will be IRA 401k, 403b, qualified plan distributions. The first one is capital gains. So I'll speak in Chinese and then I'll summarize in English. 所以我们现在提到就是 capital gain， 那主要term 还有 short term 主要的就是看你的股票或是你的 bond 它的 holding period 是多长，如果超过1年的话就是 long term， 如果是1年或是1年以下就是 short term。所以说这个 short term， 比如说如果说你在2020年12月31号你买了一个股票，如果你在2021年的12月31号你卖掉，那还是 short term， 那个不是 long term， 因为它包含在1年以内，所以你要把这个日期要算好。OK， 那为什么要知道这个 long term 还是 short term？ 主要是因为它的税率不一样。如果是 short term 的话，你的税率是在就是一般的税率，我们刚刚提到的7个税率，从 10% 到 37%。那如果是 long term 的话，就是跟 long term 跟 qualified dividend， 我们都是有比较优惠的税率，就是刚刚提到的 0%、15%， 还有 20%。那对于 20% 来讲，那些 taxpayer 他的收入都很高，所以 20% 的话一定会有 additional 的 3.8% net investment income tax。对，那关于 capital gain 的话，跟大家提的话，就是通常在做year-end planning 的话，我们常会听到叫做 tax loss harvesting， 就是说，在年底12月的时候，你就会把一些有 loss 的股票掉，因为你在当年，比如说2021年，你前面股市还不错，你赚了一些钱。可是你不想在今年报税的时候你要付税，那你就在去年12月的时候，你就把一些有 loss 的股票你卖掉，你就把这些 loss 用来 offset 抵消你的 capital gain， 所以这样的话，你的 overall capital gain 就可以少一些，你就可以省掉一些税这样子。那要在做这个tax loss harvesting 的话，一个很重要的原则就是你要注意到有一个叫做wash sale rule， 就是说它简单的说来就是说，假设你在去年12月31号你卖掉了一个股票，提了5000块的 loss， 那你就不能在今年30天以内把它买回来。如果你在今年，比如说你在1月15号买回来，因为是在这个30天以内，所以你这个5000块的 loss 你就完全不能 deduct， 所以这一点是要跟大家特别提醒到的呀。那另外跟大家提到就是说，在做这个 year-end planning， 就是关于 tax loss harvesting 的话，你就不要是因为说你为了要实现这个 loss 想来省税，然后你就把你的 investment strategy 改变了。怎么说呢？就是说，也许说那是一个很好的股票，可是你为了要提做 loss， 所以你就把在去年年底卖掉了。可是这是一个好的股票，可能它以后还是会涨回来。也许，所以如果你在去年卖掉的话，那你在今年30天以内不能买回来，所以搞不好你今年现在到2月1号，也许你那个股票已经涨了很多回来，所以就影响到你整个的 overall 的 investment 的 portfolio。所以他的意思主要是说，你这个 tax loss decision do not affect your investment strategy. Okay. And let me summarize in English. So for the capital gain, so we have long term or short term. So you have to hold that security for more than 1 year so you can claim the long-term capital gain. And for the long-term capital gain, we have the preferential rate for 0, 15 or 20%. But for the short-term capital gain, you have to pay ordinary tax on these short-term capital gain. So for the very general year-end tax planning, what we often use is the tax loss harvesting, which means that you during the year-end, say it's December last year, so because throughout the year you have a substantial capital gain, but you don't want to pay tax on this capital gain, so you sell some of the lost stocks to recognize the capital loss to offset against your capital gain. So, but the key point for this loss harvesting is that you have to avoid the wash sale rules, which basically means that once you sell that stock in December 2021, you cannot repurchase back within 30 days of the in January 2022. Okay, the next point is you don't want to because you utilize the loss for the tax saving, and then you hurt your overall investment strategy. Say if you have a great potential, good stock, which is sold in December, in order you want to claim the loss, but you cannot bought it back because the stock price for that stock bounced substantially, so you won't be able to buy it back. So this is gonna hurt your overall investment portfolio. So don't let the tax saving decision affect your investment strategy. Any questions? Yes. Okay. No question.
I have a questions.
Yes.
So the real estate sales when we retire is also considered capital gain, right?
Depends on if what kind of property is it, your residential house or investment property or a rental house.
Let's say it's a rental house.
Okay, rental house is a business property. Yes.
Okay, so let's say we retire, we have no income.
Yes.
And then you said that in the long-term capital gain, if we have low income, it will be 0%, right?
That's correct.
And so if, like, let's say I sell my rental house for 100K, would that 100K consider as my income, and then I have to pay the long-term investment tax? Let's say this is the income.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying that you have a relatively low income level right now, and then you sold your rental property for gain of 100,000, right?
Yes.
So that's your question.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, because it's a rental house, so there's another tax called the recapture tax, which is tax on your accumulated depreciation. Because I mean, because it's a business rental property, you have to claim your depreciation every year. So let's say you claim the depreciation before you sell, the total is 30,000, right? But your total gain is 100,000. So that so we have to break between the two. So the depreciation you have taken for the 30,000, there's a 25% tax on that 30,000, but the remaining 70,000 will be 15% long-term capital gain rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're telling me is the net gain from the sales of the rental property do consider as my income, and that's why we will subject for long-term investment tax.
It's subject to a long-term capital gain tax.
Yes, gotcha.
Yes, definitely, yes. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi, James. This is Helen. So I'm not sure this is a good point for me to ask about the tuition credit deduction while filing the tax.
Oh, yes, yes.
It is okay.
Tuition credit?
I don't know what to call it. So I did some research. So it's not for me, it's for my kids. So they're independent. They worked part-time while going.
Oh, okay,
college.
maybe we can save that later. You talk about
You can
the
save that later. Okay.
education tax credit.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Thank
did
you.
not cover that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
No
no problem. We'll save that question for later.
I have a question.
Yes.
If for the capital loss, so we sell the investment for capital loss. If the capital loss is shorter term, can the shorter term loss offset against the long term loss or against the short term gain? Against the long term gain or against the short term gain, basically.
Yes, we can.
Because-
Yes. The answer is yes. So when you file the Schedule D, so say if you have a short-term capital loss, and then you have long-term capital gain, so you can definitely use the loss offset against the gain. Yes, the answer is yes. But if overall you have a loss, so the maximum loss you can deduct for that year is only $3,000. The remaining loss will be carried over to the future years.
So
Let me give you an example. So let's say if you have a short-term capital loss, 20,000, you have a long-term capital gain, 10,000. So overall you have 10,000 overall loss, right? Which is a short-term capital loss. But on the tax return, you will be only able to deduct $3,000. But the remaining 7,000, which you cannot claim, will be carried over to your 2022 1040. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the things if for instance we have 10,000 long-term capital gains, and we have 10,000 short capital gains, and if we lost 20,000 loss, so then we can use the short-term loss to offset or both the long-term and short-term gains. Is that right? No,
We have to look at the overall gain or loss.
Overall, if overall is gain, the things
Overall
I will
gain, yes.
try to figure out the loss should be offset against the short term or against the long term, because short term and long term the rate are different.
No, we have to look at the overall. If it's a gain or loss.
If
So
overall is gain,
so the gain is from long term or short term.
both.
The overall, no,
Overall may be long term.
oh yeah, then that's the long term capital gain rate. So if for example, if you have overall gain is 10,000, but it's because you have short-term gain 20,000, long-term loss 10,000. So that 10,000 is from your short-term gain, right? So in that case, you have to use ordinary gain, ordinary rates. Does that make sense? Depends on your overall gains from long-term or short-term after the offset.
I see. Oh, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, James. I have a question.
Yes.
So you can convert your rental property to residential, right? Once you convert it, when you sell it, it will be considered no long-term gain tax, right?
Give me more information. So how long did you? So you
own the
yeah.
You own the house for more than 5 years, and then you move in for 2 years, and then later on you want to sell it. Do you still need to pay the capital gain?
So you talk about the sale of your residence, right?
No, the rental. Like it was beginning as a rental, and later on you move in, and then later on you sell it.
Yes. Okay. So the question is, you have a rental house, and then you convert that to a residence, and then you sold it, right? So when you sold the residence, you look back 5 years. So if you live there for more than 2 years, so there is an exclusion for the gain on the sale of the residence. Okay. Does that make sense? So that means that you can exclude for single on the exclusion of the gain on the sale of the principal residence. You can exclude up to 250,000 for single, and for married couple will be $500,000. So the requirement is you have to live there as your principal resident for at least 2 years.
Oh, okay. Then
there is another caveat. Because you treat it as the rental house, you should have taken a depreciation, and that part you have to pay tax on it. So it's not completely tax-free, because you have to pay tax on the depreciation on the rental house, which you have to claim as deduction.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions? Okay. Okay, next income item will be a Social Security benefit, 就是社安福利。基本上社安福利的话有2个重要的 requirement， 就是第一个就是年龄，你要在62岁以上；第二个就是 insured， 就是说你要 pay into the system for 10 years。10 years 就是我们算起来就是40个 quarter， 然后1年的话最多可以赚4个 quarter， 所以说是做满10年。那怎么样赚得一个 quarter？ 就是你有以2021年的金额来看，就是你赚了1470块，所以整年的话最多你可以赚4个 quarter。所以 that means that 如果你赚了差不多将近6000块，就是1470乘4，你就赚了40个，你就赚了4个 quarter 这样子。那这个 quarter 并不表示说你每一季都要赚这么多钱，你只要整年赚了超过差不多6000块，你在这一年就赚了4个 quarter 这样子。Okay. Yeah, the Social Security benefits for there is a 2 requirement. One is the age. You have to be at least 62 years old. The second one is insured. You have to pay into the system for 10 years, or what we call the 40 quarters. So each year you can earn 4 quarters. And how you earn 4 quarters, you have to make, for example, for 2021, you have to make roughly more than about $6,000, so you can earn 4 quarters for 2021. Okay. 所以下一点我们讲到说这个benefit 它大概是算法，就是它是用一个 monthly 来算哈，就是它是主要是简单来说是根据你这个 worker 的35年的最高的工作年份的earnings 来算，它是用 monthly 的 average 来算，就是取你过去如果不到35年，就是那最多的工作年数，或是超过35年的话，也是以35年的来算这个 monthly average pay benefits。那2021年1月的话，它的美国整个人的平均的 benefit 的话是1547块，所以整年差不多是18000块这样。Yeah, for the benefit amount is based in simple terms, it's based upon the monthly average of the workers' 35 highest earnings years. And for example, for the average US workers, the average monthly benefit is $1,547. and for total years, roughly a little bit more than $18,500. The next one is about when you can draw the start drawing the benefits。接下来我们也提到说，什么时候可以领这个社会安全金？那我们这边有提到一个叫做 Full Retirement Age， 就是 FRA。所以我们 Full Retirement Age 的话是从65到67岁，主要是根据你的哪一年出生的。那基本上就是1960年以后出生的，他的 Full Retirement Age 都是67岁这样子。那我们什么时候？就是我们在 Full Retirement Age 的话，你就可以领到足额的 benefit。可是我们刚刚提到说，你在62岁你就可以提早领。那提早领的话，有一个缺点就是说，它相对于你的 full benefit 来讲的话，你的 benefit 可能会减少大概差不多25到30% 这样子。那另外的话就是你也可能延后来领，可以在68或者69。那最晚的话70岁就一定要领。那延后领的话，它的好处就是说，你每一年的 benefit 就会增加8%，根据你的 full benefit 来算。Okay. The next section we talk about is when can you apply for your Social Security benefits. So we have full retirement age. So it's from 65 to 67, depending on your year of birth. So worker can get the full benefits at full retirement age. But rather than that, you can withdraw the benefits at age 62. But the downside is that you have to, so your benefit will be reduced by about 25 to 30%. Okay. Also, you have another option is that you can defer applying for the benefits up to age 70. The benefit will be you will have 8% higher than your full benefit for your delay. So next part, so we're going to talk about if you receive a benefit， 如果你收到社安福利金的话，它是在税务上来怎么来处理？就是说它是不是要课税？那我们就接下来会讲到有一个叫做provisional income threshold。那在下一张 slide 我们会介绍。那基本上来讲就是说，你领到的社安金的话，最多你有可能到85%，你要来当做你的收入来课税这样子。Yeah, the last point is about how to determine the taxable amount of your benefit received. So that part is based upon your provisional income threshold based on your different filing status, and up to 85% of the amount may be taxable. But we'll take a look at the next slide. Okay. So before we move forward, do you have any question?
我有一个 question。如果比如说比如说我的朋友他如果是比如说我妹妹吧，她是现在才刚刚到美国来的，那她如果到了退休的话，如果假设她工作不到10年，那但她每一年 earn 的比较多的话，那个钱那是不是就可以 count as 10 years？
因为他要每年，他等于至少要做满10，有可能，就是你那个 benefit 每一年期，所以你至少要有10年，然后你每一年要超过，比如说用2020年的金额是6000块，就是你做不一定说要连续10年，就是说你前后加起来，你要做满10年，然后每年要超过6000块。
OK，就以前，比如说以前他来过这工作几年，也可以算在里面，是吧？
对，就是你不用连续，比如说你做了从前面做了5年，然后你回国内，然后后来又做了6、7年，这样你就已经超过了10年。
OK，所以它不能算作，比如说因为你刚才讲了4个 quarter，只要一年能够有6000多块，就能 count as 4个 quarter，你不用做。
所以1年最多只能赚4个 quarter。
就不能更多了。OK，
对，
好，
不能了。
好，谢谢。
好，所以 James，我是 Helen，谢谢你啊，你太辛苦了，我都觉得你we have so many questions for you, but I just want to clarify. So just following up with that, sister's question. So you don't have to work consecutively 10 years in a row, right?
Right.
And within a year, since when? Like since as early as they can file tax, like at age of 14, is that right? Or 16? I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
Right, okay.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. There's because
There's an age, right?
sometimes the child, if they pay by the parents, they're not
dependent.
subject to Social Security tax.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, and also that you don't have to work a full year to qualify that 4 quarters, because
No.
as soon as you make $6,000 for that calendar year, and you have earned.
You already earned 4 credits.
Okay.
4 quarters.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Any other question? Okay. Yeah. So next one, we're gonna talk about how we calculate the taxable portion of the Social Security benefits received. 所以我们接下来要看一下怎么来算，就是你收到的社安福利金，你有多少要视作你的 income。那我们在这里要介绍一个，就是所谓的provisional income。它有就是你所有的收入加上你的 tax exempt interest 加上你的 50% of your benefit will be your provisional income. Okay. So, and then once you figure out what's your provisional income, and then you look at this, depends on your filing status. If you're married or single, so if you your provisional income is more than 44,000, so 85% of your benefits will be taxable. Yeah. So this is how this taxable amount work. Depends on your provisional income and your filing status. If this over above the threshold, you have to either pay 85% or 50% will be a taxable amount for the benefits.
How is this provisional income calculated? Is that include the 401k?
Yes, sorry. Yes, on the top, yeah, including your total income. Yeah, definitely include your 401k and wages and interest and all the investment income, all the income. Yes, plus.
So the income is for over 44,000, then all the Social Security benefit will up subject to 85% tax.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
So it's a very low threshold.
Yeah. Is it joint? Is this jointly filed? Oh, Mary, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I have to move a little faster. Sorry.
I'll follow up on that question. 85% is 85% of the Social Security will be subject to your tax rate, right? I think it was misunderstood.
Right.
Basically, like you're not taxed at 85% of the Social Security, no. but you're taxed at, let's say, your 20% tax rate. That will be applied to your 85% of your Social Security incomes.
Correct. No, so this calculation is calculate the income part. Yes.
What I mean is that 15% of the Social Security will not be subject to taxation.
Right.
But 85% of it will
Yes.
be included as your income, and
Correct.
then you're taxed at your
Ordinary
whatever
income.
tax rate.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that,
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably have to move a little faster. I'm a little bit slow. Well, next we're going to talk about the distribution from the retirement plans. All these are 100% income, not like the Social Security benefit. We only have up to 85% is taxable. So retirement plan, including the following, like 401k or IRA. So plan contribution normally have a limitation and it's tax deductible. So for example, like the 401k is salary deferral. So, but for the IRA, you can, traditional IRA, you can deduct from your tax, deduct from your adjustable gross income. Yeah. Normally a distribution has to be made after retirement age, which is age 59 and a half. So you won't have a 10% penalty tax, but all the distribution will be taxed as ordinary income. Okay, next one is about the 10% early withdrawal penalty. So if you withdraw the money before age 59 and a half, you have to pay 10% penalty. At the same time, you also have to pay tax on the distribution. But there's also some exceptions, but we're not going to cover that. Okay. Okay, the last one is about required minimum distribution to R&D, we call it. We start as the age 72. Okay, next we're going to talk about the retirement minimum distribution, RMD. So the Security Act changed the age from, used to be 70 and a half, but after 1/1/20, so the RMD age is 72 years old. Okay. So let's take example. So if you turn 72 in 2021, so your RMD age is 72. So you have until April 1st, 2022 to take your first RMD. And all the following year for 2022, you have to take that by December 31st, 2022. Okay. The penalty for not taking the RMD is severe, and it's 50% of the shortfall. Okay. So next one, we're gonna look at how we calculate the RMD. So how we calculate is we take the prior year account balance and then divide it by the distribution period. So that's that we're gonna use the 2022. Now, if you turn 72 in year of 2022, so we use the December 31st, 2021. Your total 401k account balance or your traditional IRA balance, assume it's a $1 million. Okay. So we divide it by the distribution period. So this period is from the IRS website. So I need put it there for you. So we have two tables. This one is for the year 2021. So we have a new table, which is the green table we use for the year 2022. So, our distribution period for 2022 will be 27.2. So, and then we calculate the 1 million divided by 27.4 is So your 2022 required minimum distributions, $36,000 and $496. Okay. So this is how we calculate the RMD. Any quick questions?
James，我问一下，那个如果说最后剩下的钱的话是作为遗产的话，那是怎么个算法的？
Oh, so your question is if you pass away, how you deal with the remaining balance of your retirement plans, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna pass to your designated beneficiary. Yes, right. There's a very difficult rules for these, so we probably don't have time to cover. But your heir or your spouse will get the all the retirement accounts. Okay.
So we can withdraw more than this $36,000, right?
That's a minimum distribution, but you can withdraw more. So the minimum you have to withdraw is $36,000. But if you did not draw at all, so you'll be subject to 50% of that amount as the penalty tax. Okay, so we'll go to the next topic. So we can look at the Roth conversion for the major pros for the Roth conversion is the benefit of the Roth IRA. So the biggest benefit is all the distribution will grow tax-free. That means that whenever you withdraw the money from Roth IRA, it's totally tax-free. Yeah, but of course there is the rules about you have to pass your age 59 and a half. Also, we have to hold that Roth IRA for more than 5 years. Okay. But the downside for the Roth conversion is that during that year, all the conversion is treated as your taxable income. That means that you have to pay tax on that conversion from your either 401k or traditional IRA. Okay. So next we're gonna cover is the other big benefit is Roth IRA don't have the required minimum distribution. But as we talk, the other traditional IRA or 401k or 403b, you have a RMD rules. You have to make the distribution after you turn age 72. Okay. So I'll keep talk about this Roth IRA 5-year rule. So first is have to hold the Roth IRA for 5 years, and the other one to avoid the penalty. Yeah. The next question is, what's the best time where you can do your Roth conversion? That's during your probably right around the time when you retired with very low income level, or you're at a very low tax bracket year. So you can consider doing your Roth conversion. Yeah. Of course, we have to watch out for the 5-year rule. Okay. Okay, we'll take an example for the Roth conversion and the 5-year rules. Okay. So on this chart, we have, this is the current income tax bracket. And this is the future years. When you, like after age 72, you have to do the RMD. At that time, that was the RMD tax bracket. Okay. So right now we have a couple around years 55 years old. So right now, because their tax bracket is 32%. So their very income is too high and tax bracket is too high. So it's not feasible to do the conversion because you have to pay tax on the 32% on your conversion. So the next one, like 5 years later, so about their age at 60 years old. So one spouse retires. So right now their tax bracket is about 22%. It's relatively normal and not too high. So you can start considering do the conversion, especially when you during these 5 years, you grow your 401k a lot. So whenever you do the R&D, so during your retirement years, your bracket will be about 22%. So at this point, you can start thinking about doing the conversion. And the next one will be after another 7 years, and both are retired, so about age 67. So at that time, your income tax bracket is pretty low at 12%. So, but you have accumulated a huge balance for your retirement account. So whenever you turn age 72, your RMB tax bracket will be 24%. So definitely at that time, you have to start doing the Roth conversion. Okay. Any questions?
Hey, James, I have a question here. So the conversion here, say for 12%, only 80,000, right? So we're converting, you take out some convert probably 400,000, whatever, and then you make it back to 32%, right? You would do a conversion. So
which year talk about? I'm sorry.
So I mean, say year 12, right? So 12.
Year 12. Oh, you mean the track retired? Yes. Okay.
So when you have you try to convert like 400,000 to Roth IRA, and then you put your tax bracket to 32%.
Yes. Yeah. That's too much. So you cannot convert. You still need to look at watch for your income level, and probably you can probably convert for the amount. Probably push you either to 22%. Probably is fine.
Okay.
Or 24%, but definitely not toward the 32%. That's too much. Yeah, it's not worth it.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, next one is about.
Can we do multiple conversions?
Yes, you can do for each year. You can do conversion multiple times. But the total, yeah, you can do multiple times. Yes.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean separate phase by phase. Yeah, each year, phase by phase.
Yeah, you can do that every year. Each year you can do multiple times.
Now, for 5-year rule,
yes.
Does that apply to the first time you open an account, or
No.
for each?
Yes.
Or is it for each time you add more money into the Roth?
Okay. It's different. Okay, so for the first opening account is 5-year rule. But for the conversion, there's a stacking rule. So it means that, let me give an example. So let's say right now you're age 55. So if you convert that, or you do the open account, okay. So if you open the Roth IRA at age 55, so you can start with conversion, or after 59.5, that says you can convert that or receive the distribution at 60. Okay, but conversion that if you convert at 55, you cannot touch the money until you turn age 60. And if you come in the next year, 56, you cannot touch that until you age 61. So there's a stacking rules. So for the conversion, you have to hold it for 5 years. But for the opening account, just the first year.
So let's say you put in money in the Roth every year.
Yes. So so only the first time you open that counts. So that means that if you for the year 56
does not follow this rules. Only when
only the first conversion. Sorry, only the first contribution.
Yes.
但係你如果冇嘅你就
I'm sorry, cannot hear you. Yeah, the connection is bad. Yeah, for the first opening account, there's just 5-year rules. You don't have to stack 5 years. So it means that if you add the money at age 56, you still can withdraw the money at 60. Depends on your opening day.
Okay.
But if it's a conversion, you have to, at age 56, you have to hold it till 61. Make sense?
So let's say 5 years later, I add in more money into, I do more conversion from IRA to Roth IRA at 60. But the next year I'm gonna withdraw it. Do I?
No, you have to wait for 5 years.
So
you
then
withdraw the one that you hold on 5 years. Come on.
Every time you put in $1, you withdraw the one that the dollar that you
Contribution, it's different. It's
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll just summarize it. Okay, for the contribution, just hold it for five years. You don't have to. Yeah, during the 5 year, if you put in additional money, you don't have to wait.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Okay, but if it's a conversion, you have actually hold it for 5 years. Okay, does that make sense?
So each conversion,
you have to hold it for 5 years.
Okay.
Yes, but if it's only opening account, just the first day account. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have to go to the next one. I'm sorry.
All right.
Take a little bit long. Sorry. Okay. The next one is charitable, just tax planning about the donation of the appreciated stock. So right now we have 3 options. You can either donate the cash, or the option 2 and 3 is dealing with the donation of the appreciated stock. So option 2 is you donate you sell the stock first, and then they donate the proceeds. The option 3 is you donate the stock directly to the charity. Okay. The option 3 have a certain requirement. Firstly, is definitely that you have to donate directly to the charity. The second one is you have to hold that stock for more than 1 year, which is a long-term capital property. Okay, so if you do these 2, the tax consequence is that you can save money because you don't have to pay the long-term capital gain on your tax return, and then the benefit is also you still can deduct the full fair market value of the stock. So we'll take a look at the example for the illustration. Okay, so let me give you some examples. So for a married couple, they tried to make a 60,000 donation to a charity. Okay, they can either donate cash or they can donate stock. So that stock they have cost is originally they bought that stock for 20,000, but right now it worth 60,000. So they have a 40,000 capital gain. Okay, so for the stocks donation, we have 2 scenarios. So we have either we can sell the stock and donate the proceeds, or the other option is we can make a direct stock donation to a charity. Okay. So the option 2 is just give you some numbers. So assuming they have a wage 200,000 plus the long-term capital gain, which they sold the stock for. So their total income is 240,000, and then they can deduct the 60,000 for the donation. So they wind up with the taxable income of 180,000. So their tax amount is 28,000. Okay. So if we look at the other option, so if the couple donate the stock directly to the charities, they still have to report the income as the total wages as income, but they report the capital gain here. So their total income will be $200,000, and at the same time they still can deduct the $60,000 as itemized deduction. So their taxable income is $140,000. So their tax is only $22,000. So they wind up have tax saving about $6,000. So that's the benefit of the donation of appreciated stock. Any quick questions? Okay, the last one is charitable giving tax planning. We have a QCD is what we call qualified charitable distribution. We know that the R&D still changed to 72 years, but this is old age, just before the Security Act. They did not change the age for the QCD. So once you turn 70 years and a half, so you can start considering doing the QCD, qualified charitable contribution. The requirement is you have to do the distribution directly to the qualified charity. You cannot touch the money, okay? So many retired savers, they can, when you turn age 72, you can use this QC as your R&D. So the key benefits, your tax benefits, you have a tax-free R&D. You can reduce your AGI, and reducing AGI, maybe you have lower taxable amount of Social Security benefits or other reduced Medicare Part B premium. So this is, let me just recap the summary. So QCD is qualified for these persons for the age, when they turn age 70 and a half. It's only good for the traditional IRA. It's not applied to 401k or 403b. So the maximum amount you can do is $100,000. So if you do the QCD, you do not report this amount as your income. So that means that is what we call the tax-free. So you will reduce your AGI. So consequently, you may also reduce your taxable amount of Social Security benefits and other income limited income. Yeah. So that's the rule for this. Any questions?
I think because of time strain.
Yes, we're done.
We welcome everyone who has questions to stay behind, but and also James has worked so hard, he didn't even have time to drink some water. So let me close in prayer, and then we will leave the floor open to James, and everyone can ask questions. And whoever has questions, you're welcome to stay, okay? Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity to learn so much about tax. Help us to be truthful when we file income tax, but also help us do a smart steward that manage money well, so that at the end of when we retire, we can still send offerings to support your ministry. We praise you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Okay.
Okay, sorry for I did not control the time very well. Yeah, but right now we're open for questions. So yeah, if you have some other engagement, you feel free to leave. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Holly, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Angela.
Yes, hi, Angela.
Yeah. Can we make a donation from IRA account before 70 and a half?
No, you cannot. You have to turn 70 and a half.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the age requirement.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
请问另外一个讲座是不是今天就不讲了？是不是？
很抱歉，因为时间没有控制好，所以可能
我
yeah,
们会
we probably
延到
have
下一
Karen have
次。
to talk about her subject next time.
好，谢谢。
Any other questions?
我觉得就是谢谢 James， 今天你讲的很辛苦，就我一直在说要可以分2次或者3次都可以，谢谢。
不客气。
James, this is Amy. I have a question. Hi. I have a question on so the required minimum distribution.
Yes.
So can we take, like, I guess, sell, so let's say, you know, I have to take something out of my IRA or 401k or whatever. If I take it out and I sell the stock, let's say, and I give it to, you know, HCC or a charity. So can I do it that way, or do I have to put it in a QCD?
So your question is, so you have for example, it's a 401k, right? You say you have a stock investment in your 401k, right?
Right.
So you say you want to sell the stock?
Well, and not sell. I mean, can I give it to a charity?
Oh, you mean transfer the stock?
Yes, transfer the stock without it being in a QCD. Would that count as part of my RMD?
What is the question?
So okay, firstly, the QCD is only applied to traditional IRAs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have to turn year 7.5 before you can consider that.
Okay.
And you can, if you turn year 72, you can usually have to take RMD, but instead of use RMD, you can do the QCD in lieu of the RMD.
Okay, so but at that time you cannot just transfer the stock. Now I can just transfer stock, right? And do the write-off.
Right, yeah, that part I'm not quite sure. Yeah, now I'm not quite sure that part. If you can, I know I understand your question. Your question is, you already met the requirement for the QCD. Can you transfer stock from your IRA directly to the charity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the part I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
Okay.
James, I have a question.
Yes.
From here at XCC. So if you want to donate stock, I understand that you mentioned that there could be some tax benefits.
Right.
Do you know if the organization, let's say XCC, when they receive the stock, they have to hold the stock for a certain amount of time before they can sell, or is it like they can sell right away?
No.
They can sell right away.
Yeah, yes, I can, yeah. Probably people will answer your question. Yes, the answer is yes.
There's no restriction.
I remember correctly, I think when the church treasurer received that stock, they normally when they receive that, they sold it immediately. That's our policy, if I remember correctly.
James, this is Paul. Yes, that is the policy. We try to sell as soon as possible so we don't incur market fluctuations, either up or down.
Right. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Paul.
James, this is Jing. I want to ask 2 quick questions. 我用中文说吧。比如说我的 retirement age 是66岁半，那到70岁我再拿 Social Security 算几年呢？每年增加8%。
是，所以你大概还有半年多4%。
那可以算每年8%，3824，可以算到28%。
差不多 ，roughly。
它是根据月数算的。
我不太确定。
那个 还没到的时候呢，可能。另外第二个 question 哈，就说35年的 highest earns。
对，这是它基本上的算法。其实它的 formula 非常的 complicated 呀，因为我们今天没有时间，所以通常来讲，这个 Social Security benefit 大家可以讲一整堂课，所以说
我的 question 就是说，35年 highest earn 到什么时候截止呢？到你的 full retirement age 截止呢，还是到你拿 Social Security 的那个 year？比如我要 70才拿，所以我可以 replace 好多 low income years。那他还让 after full retirement age 还让 replace 还让就这35年到什么时候截止呢？
这个我不是完全确定，所以我不能跟你讲。
OK， 谢谢。
不好意思，
没关系啊。
James，我想问一下那个，刚才讲到从 IRA 可以就是donate 到，比如说像教会的话，这个 IRA account 是包括401k 吗？还是只是比如说 Roth IRA 这些？
你是讲 QCD 吗？
QCD。
Yeah, the question is what type of plan you can do the QCD? Yeah, the answer is only the traditional IRA can do that.
So nothing.
Not 401k, no 403b, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about rollover? How about rollover IRA, James?
Yes, if it's IRA, it's rollover IRA is fine. Yeah, let's say if you have originally when you left your company, you have a 401k, but you roll over to a rollover IRA, so that's a IRA. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So another question on top of that. So is that for like a bank account? Can we do the same thing to give the stock to the church, or have to go through the IRA? The QCD it's only applied to the IRA account.
Yeah, it's only applied to the IRA account. Yeah, but Amy just asked me the question. She's asking if that IRA holds the stock, can they transfer the stock directly to the charity? That part I'm not sure. Maybe Paul know the answer.
Yeah, Paul, maybe you want to talk about the charitable donor advice fund. That you can get some tax saving for capital gain.
I'm sorry, I missed the question. What was the question?
Yeah, the question is for the QCD from your traditional IRA. So if you hold the stock or mutual fund, can you directly transfer that stock to the charity, or you have to? What's the process for the transfer?
We've never seen a stock transfer as a QCD. Usually it comes as a check, just proceeds as cash in a check.
That's not a question. The question is, can you do that? Helping you answer the question.
Oh, so Paul, you say normally you get a check from the IRA, right?
When we receive QCDs, they are a check coming as a QCD. We have not received stock as a QCD.
Okay.
Now, whether you can do that or not, I'm not sure, but we've never received that. We typically get a check that's designated as a QCD.
Oh, okay.
This current produces the same variance of the guns. Here, we would have employed organisms.
Sorry, cannot hear you. The voice is connection's bad. Okay, by the way, Paul, if someone just suggests you want to briefly teach us about the donor advisor fund for the charitable contribution.
What's the question about donor advisor fund?
Yeah. Can you briefly discuss that? What's the rules and what's the benefit?
Okay. Typically, a donor advised funds, the person would, you can have a donor advised fund at many different trustees like Fidelity or any of the large brokerage firms. But what you have done, you have transferred your assets to this donor advised fund, you get whatever tax deductions for the entire donation in that calendar year. So let's say that if you donated long-term appreciated assets into a donor advised fund, and let's just say you donate $300,000 worth into your donor advised fund, whatever tax benefits you get it all in that 1 year. And then that donor advised fund is, as it's stated, it's a donor advised fund. You as the donor advise that fund manager to make grants or distributions to different charitable organizations. So you put the 300,000 in that donor advised fund, and then over any number of years, you can just have them make donations directly to charities. Like if you had donations, you can say, well, I want $10,000 to go to HCC this year, 15,000 another year. But when we receive it, it shows up on your annual statement from us that it's non-deductible because you got the tax deduction when you set up the donor advised fund. You do not receive the tax deduction from us any longer. But that helps you because you get all the tax deduction in 1 year. That makes sense for you. And then you have that money you can spend or distribute over many number of years.
Right.
You can do it all in 1 year too. You can distribute it all in 1 year. So
Right.
you get the tax deduction from the trustee that you set up the donor advised fund, not from HCC.
Right. Perfect. So that means that even in your example, even though whenever you set up the donor advisor fund, it's worth 300,000, you already take the deduction. But in later years, the value dropped to $200,000. So but you still can take the $300 as a donation deduction, right?
Right. It happens in that year you set it up with the trustee or the donor advised fund trustee. And sometimes it makes sense for the individual, for you as a donor, you may want to take all that tax deduction in that year for whatever reason.
Right.
And so once you take it all that 1 year, you have, I think it's unlimited how many years you can send, you can make grants. You can actually, donate the whole 300,000 the very next year if you want, or you can just, send it out 10,000, 5,000, whatever to charitable organizations. And then you don't get any more tax, advantages after that. It's all taking place in that first year when you set it up.
Right.
Yeah. And that's also why we have a number of people, members of HCC that make their donations, offerings to us in that way. And that's why when they see on their annual offering statement, it will say non-deductible, because we are not saying it's deductible because you gave it to us. You already got a tax deduction when you set it up.
Right.
So Paul, do you know if that qualifies as part of your RMD?
No, because you made a donor advised fund. The RMD is only from like a retirement account.
They talk about different accounts.
Right. That's not the retirement plan accounts. It's
right.
They are talking QCD, but they talk about the RMD. I just got confused.
Well, the QCD is RMD is something that the government requires you to take from your IRA every year, because that way they hopefully will be able to tax you on it, right? So you have to take a certain amount of money out of your IRA, but you can make a QCD, qualified charitable distribution, directly to a charitable organization, and that will count against your RMD. So that way you don't receive the money directly. It does not count as your income, like James was saying. Right. So, if let's say your RMD for 1 year is $50,000. If you were to take the RMD in cash and then turn around and send it to, some portion of it to charitable organization, you take the 50,000 and it counts against your income for that year. But if you were to send that 50,000 and send it as QCDs, whether to one charitable organization or many, it bypasses your income. It does not show as income, and you still, are able to reduce your RMD. You're getting credit for your RMD, but you're not using it. It's not going to count as income for you.
So that means you have to send directly from your RMD to the charitable.
You have to send directly to the IRA.
IRA, sorry.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoever the trustee is for your IRA, you tell them to send it to the charitable organization. Like it could be HCC, it could be other charitable organizations.
My sister coming. I'm going to get her some food. No, she is not here. She has not even left her house yet.
Sisters like leaving her house or something.
So James has covered many tax-wise, smart ways to make charitable contributions. If you're in these situations, you can still give the same amount, but it will save you in taxes.
Hi, this is Helen. I just want to make a comment. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, James. That's very, very helpful because we just, as many of us are working for somebody and the tax is out. So we just don't pay any attention. It's just until I just want to bring everybody's attention. If you can, especially we work for those companies and firms that they do have a matching donation program, and it is quite handsome amount. And so like a one-to-one donation, because we offer to church and other charitable organizations. And so do go to your organization and see what is their matching program.
Yeah.
So I find that very, very amazing and helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to, you can email treasurer@hcchome.org and then we can discuss it. We're not tax experts, but we've seen this a number of times. And our congregation, some members are at that life phase where it makes sense. This saves them on taxes. They can still make the same offering contribution, but they can also save themselves taxes.